Alright, our batteries are disconnected. Alright, here's the starter motor. It's a Prima Power starter motor. It's got wires and bolts holding it on. 3 big bolts. I'm going to try this first. Before I take the wiring off, I'm going to try to crack all these 3 bolts loose that hold this on. If I know I can crack these bolts loose, I know this baby's going to come out, because the wiring's going to be much easier than cracking these bolts loose. So I'm also going to take a quick picture of the wiring just so I don't forget it. And here we go. Alright, to crack these 3 bolts loose, you're going to need a 5/8 socket, 12 points. You're going to need 2 extensions, 1/2 inch, and preferably a Milwaukee impact gun or a big torque bar. But getting a big torque bar in there, and with all this stuff, you can't really move it around, so you really could use one of these. Alright, so the hardest part about this is getting not this bolt off here. Let me show you. Not that one. Let me clear it. Yep, not that one, but the one on the other side of the starter motor that we cannot see. Alright, so to get to it, it's a little tricky. Alright, I fed in the extension through this side and the back, but to get the socket over the bolt, I had to take my right hand and reach it around there, until I can feel the bolt. And when I could feel the bolt with my hand, then I was able to guide the extension and socket in until it met my hand, and I was able to guide it on to the bolt here. This is by far the hardest part of this entire job, besides lifting the starter motor out and putting the new one in, and holding it in place all by yourself. But alright, so we have the other extension on here. Now I'm going to hook the Milwaukee impact gun up to this. Alright, so she's all ready to go. This is going to be a 2-hand job, unfortunately. I want to press as hard as I can this way and pull the trigger at the same time on the number 3 torque setting. Alright, just took it out. That's our setup there. Got to retrieve the socket and the bolt. I cannot lose that socket and the bolt. Actually, I have replacement bolts, but so I'm going to put the camera down for a second and reach all the way back there. And if anyone's thinking about being a diesel mechanic, just remember, as soon as you touch one of these trucks, that's what happens. There she is. That's good to see. Got 2 more to go. Alright, same method here. I have the 2 extensions on. I have it right here. I have a little room right here. So I'm going to try to get the Milwaukee impact gun in upside down and connect it and give it a shot. Alright, so we got the setup. Before I go cracking this, I actually took a hammer and hit that way to make sure the socket was fully seated on the 12-point nut. The last thing I want to do is strip that out. So here we go. She's upside down. She's connected. And let's try it. Alright, here we go. It's working. Yeah, it just came off. Oh yeah, that's good to see. So, like I said, there's 3 bolts holding the starter motor on. I got this last one, and I'm just going to leave that on for now. Time to take the wiring off. If I didn't have this Milwaukee impact gun right now, it'd be really hard. The wiring connections on the starter motor take an 18mm socket on this one, at least. Probably all of them. So, let's crack this baby loose. Okay, not this one, but that one right there, right above it. This one can stay on. It's connected to the solenoid. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I got the wires off of the top nut, and here's the bottom stud here. I tried to pull these ones off right here. They're just corroded solid. I was going to stick a pry bar in here and just wedge that way, but I don't want to mess these connections up. If I do, I might be stranded out here, so I'm going to carefully try to wiggle them up and down, and I just want to be patient. So I might tap the the top of it and try to break the corrosion loose and spray it with more WD-40. But just take your time, no rush. All right, we got, there's a wire connection here at the bottom. Pull that off, got these off right here. There is 1 or 2 more wires on the top solenoid to get off. That's it. A couple zip ties need to be snipped, possibly. I mean, I might be able to leave these up here, but looks like we got a clear path. It's gonna come out this way, that's the goal. The cool thing is with the fuel pump down here, it's not like it's gonna fall on the ground when I unbolt it now. So I can lay a piece of cardboard here and it's basically gonna fall on this, barely fall, and then I'll be able to wedge it out this way. Last time it was more like it was gonna drop on the ground, so I had to go underneath the truck and reach my arms up and be very careful, because if this baby falls on your face, you're gonna knock some teeth out. So you don't want that. So that's it. Couple wires on the top, and get this bolt off and pull it out. Okay. Having a couple problems here. I thought these big bolts holding the starter motor on were gonna be the hardest part to get off, but no. It's actually these little bolts holding this wiring on. I cannot get this baby off without this wiring twisting. The wire is literally twisting and I'm gonna lose the fitting on the end. I don't wanna do that, so I give this a little heat right now. Try to crack it loose. All right, man. Oh, I was losing patience there. I was trying to get this nut off, and this wire was gonna twist all around and just rip right off this fitting here. So if you can see it right there, you know, when you deal with this stuff, just stop. You know, try to be patient. So I put a little heat on the nut there, and after I did that, it's got that nut right off. So now we can get this off. And this wire is on part of the other solenoid here, so we'll leave that all on. And I got one more wire at the top. Geez, I thought these bolts were the hardest part, but no, it's the wiring. All the wires are off. I have a nice thick piece of cardboard pushed under the starter motor all the way to the cylinder block. I got my Milwaukee impact gun hooked up here, and here we go. There we go. That's it. So, all right. That's what I like to see. It's sitting on the cardboard, and under the cardboard is the fuel filter housing holding the weight. So these wires have to go, this has to go up, and this has to come this way. Yep. There we go. There we go. Oh yeah. Yeah. So there she is. Prime Power. She did her job for many years, but it's time to replace her. With the starter motor removed, carefully inspect the threads. Make sure everything looks good. Wipe this down. You might have a little silicone on here. Feel something. Looks like grease. Just clean her up. Clean up the inside right there. Get her nice and clean. You could take a razor blade to this, but keep in mind you might drop it in the hole, so you might not want to do that. But clean her up and get her ready. And while I'm at it, I'm going to replace the oil temp sensor. It's on the back. There's 2 sensors on the back of this. Every engine, you know, it changed over the years, but I got 2 sensors here. One is oil pressure. The bottom one is oil temp. So I'm going to replace that sensor now that I have this out. Yeah, out with the old, in with the new. All right, I'm glad I got this baby. She needs to go in. Yep, she can go in just like that. And, oh God, it's just endless. Guys, if you own a truck, you know what I'm talking about. It's just endless. So next time you're negotiating the rate with the brokers on the dashboard, just don't you forget it. You know it. How much BS can be involved in trucking and all these parts. And So many things that might need replacing. That's why I try to ask more for the rate, and I hope you do too, because they're ripping us off. Delco Remy, any Detroit 60 series motor, 14 liter or 12.7, can take the MT39 upgrade. Some would call it an upgrade, some would call it a smaller starter motor, but it has a gear reduction inside and it consumes less battery power to start up. It has a lot of torque, so it's very good for the winter. I've used it on a different truck. Very good starter motor, and it has a cool sound to it. Sounds cooler than the old MT. I think it was a 41, MT41 or 42, which sounds like a piece of junk. In case you're wondering, that mount for the wire is the same. Everything is the same. The only difference is on the MT39. If you never used one on your Freightliner, there is a wire on the old starter motor that mounts, might mount lower somewhere else, and you have to take that wire and stretch it up to the top. This is a solenoid. This is the starter motor. This is your solenoid, and then there's another solenoid. So it's kind of weird, but the wire that goes to your old solenoid on this has to go all the way up here, and that's how it works. Yeah, here we go. All right, she's in there. A little crooked, but that's a good start. She's in the hole. It was a little tricky to line up. It's still sagging a little, but I have the first bolt in. So I took the pry bar and I basically was prying up, to line it up. Once I got that end lined up here, I had to actually put the pry bar under this piece of aluminum and pry up on that to line up the hole. And then, of course, I put the bolt in by hand and threaded it by hand. 10 years ago, I had a mechanic strip these out on a truck because he just torqued them in. So definitely by hand until it's threaded, and make sure it's going in smooth. And I'll just snug it up. Won't make it super tight, and I want to be able to rotate this and get the other two more bolts in and torque these all down until then I'll get to the wiring. We're down to our final bolt. This is the one that goes on the back side that we can't see. So I have the extension here and the 5/8 12-point socket. I'm going to feed it in just like the way I took it out. And I'm going to take my right hand and reach over behind the solenoid. Got to really get in there until I can feel the threaded hole on the housing with my finger. When I feel that, then I can guide the socket in and the bolt and catch that with my finger and guide it in. But without that method, it's really hard to get in, because you really gotta reach all up in here, and it's just not fun. All of the bolts are in. I have a torque wrench with the two extensions right here, and I snugged this down even more from the impact gun. The impact gun, I can't really trust it with the two extensions, so you really don't know what you're getting, and you gotta make sure these are tight. You'll get a feel for it. They gotta be tight, but don't over tighten them. Make them real snug till when you turn them and you feel the resistance, just go a little further until it feels nice and snug. I took sandpaper and scuffed up these contact points right here on all sides. The nut that screws back on here is kind of loose, so I'm going to push this down to the end, put a little red thread lock right here, and crank it back on. Same thing with the top. Got these wires here. These ones go to the top, and a couple more wires up there to go to the top, plus the one on top of the second solenoid. If you've never installed an MT39 on your Detroit 60 motor, this wire here originally was mounted over here on the solenoid. So you take that wire and it goes right up to the top right there. There's a little bolt. I took it out with a washer. That's where that wire goes for it to work properly. All the wiring is hooked up, everything is snug and tight. I'm gonna buy a can of lithium spray grease and spray the contact points here to prevent future corrosion. All right, here goes nothing. MT39. I hope this video helps you out. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Slim Diesel.